Breaking Star Trek news is reaching us here at the Tachyon Pulse. An exclusive rumour that, if true, may be the first confirmation that Skydance have no intention of giving Secret Hideout a new Star Trek deal. Welcome to the Tachyon Pulse podcast.
Our Tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
How I said out a second ago was weird. But anyway, this news or rumour has hit me very late. I'm very tired. But I'm going to do a video on it anyway because I want it to get out there as quick as I can. So, what is the rumour and where is it coming from? Well, what I'm being told by actually a source at Paramount is that Skydance a couple of months ago requested copies of the contract that Paramount has with Secret Hideout. I've got to be very careful with this because the rumour is quite specific, but it is a rumour. This isn't coming to me directly from the source. It's coming to me through a second party. So I cannot, and I need to stress this, I cannot confirm how true it is or make sure there's any Chinese whispers, etc. going on. But how specific the rumour is does make me at least want to tell you guys about it. But please, again, confirm rumour. So, what I'm being told, and from this Paramount source, who does work at Paramount, has been a good source to me in the past, is that Dave Ellison, who's obviously the head of Skydance, a couple of months ago requested that Larry Wasserman, who's the Chief Financial Officer and Co-President of Business Operations over at Skydance, would request the contract, copies of the contract from Paramount regarding their deal with Secret Hideout. Now, apparently, Dave Ellison has requested, I'm going to read this now because it's quite a lot, has requested that they look at, for one, what the penalties would be if they chose to end the contract early. I don't actually think they have any intention of doing that, but I suppose if you're considering the possibility that you won't be extending the deal, I suppose that's at least one thing you look at. That they would look at, secondly, what is the deal around if something is production when this deal ends, which I'm told is the summer of 2026. What is the actual system that's been put in? What is the system that's contracted about whatever's in production at the time? Now, what I've always been told is anything that's in production at the time, and that might basically be Season 5 of Strange New Worlds, depending on how they go with Season 2 of Academy and getting that done. But if that's in production at the time, apparently the contract allows that to be finished, and then Paramount has to pay them to conclude it, do the post-production, etc., etc. It seems that Larry Wasserman was asked to find out exactly what that means, how much it was potentially cost, and what, most importantly, does it mean in regards to them starting production over something else. Now, the third thing he was asked to look at, and this is the important bit, is what does the contract say about them then exploring doing new Star Trek? So the contract is basically an exclusivity deal. It basically means that Star Trek currently is produced and they have an exclusivity deal with Secret Hideout. So basically what this Wasserman guy was asked, I'm probably saying that name horribly wrong, but what he was asked to look at was, would there be any penalties if they then started to look at other options for Star Trek in the future? So for example, if they tried to put a new show in development, or what would then their legal obligation be to Secret Hideout? Now that tells me they are seriously considering, or even have really decided, that they won't be going with Secret Hideout, and they're trying to figure out what their options are about what to do after. Can they, while they're waiting for Star Trek Strange New Worlds to be completed, can they approach somebody else or greenlight a different show with a different producer, etc.? What are they then allowed to do with Star Trek while they're waiting? Or do they actually need to wait until Strange New Worlds is completed and Secret Hideout are done before they're legally then allowed to explore other options? So are they? Apparently not. Apparently, this exclusivity deal does basically mean that Paramount can't do anything else with Star Trek. They can't do anything with Star Trek without Secret Hideout's involvement. This deal, the more I read about it, or the more I'm told about it through different sources, is the most ridiculous deal I've ever heard of. But to be honest, that's kind of a proviso that I understand. They have an exclusivity deal with Star Trek, so it's bound to be that they're going to say, well, you can't do anything else with Star Trek while we've got the deal. I kind of get that, but it's crap for us. Basically, if then Ellison, once he's in charge at Paramount, if that ever happens, I mean, there are problems there. But once they're in charge over at Paramount, it basically means they're not even legally allowed to sort of approach anybody about new Star Trek. They have to wait until Strange New Worlds is done. They can't do any planning or agree any contracts with anybody about replacing it. So that basically means they cannot start negotiations with anyone or really even talk to anyone about taking over Star Trek and taking over Secret Hideout until Strange New Worlds is done. That could be the summer of 2027. It could take 12 months. They finished filming Strange New Worlds Season 3 over 12 months ago, and it's not on our screens for another couple of months, or a month and a bit. So it does take a long time in post-production for these series. At least 6 months. At least. So that's a problem, because then I would estimate it will be at least 2 years from when they sign a contract with somebody to take over Secret Hideout until we then got something on our screens. So I don't think we'd get new Star Trek, even if Skydance are really on the ball and negotiate a new deal, or do it internally, say, and hire people, etc., really quickly. We won't get anything on our screens till 2029 or 2030. And as I said, that's if they're quick. So I like this on one hand, because even though I'm not going to go as far as saying it's confirmation, it's even though I think I've already said it was confirmation, might be confirmation. I do think this really is a very strong indicator that they're not going to give Secret Hideout a new deal if the boss is asking for them to get legal clarification on what they do when they don't give him a new contract, if that makes sense. I'd love you guys to get into the comments now and say, like, again, assuming this is true, this rumour is true, what do you think it means? I think it's a bit of a smoking gun, personally. And don't get me wrong, it could be Dave Ellison and the people over at Skydance just hedging their bets. It could be, alright, if we don't do it, what are the ramifications? But I don't think you would then be asking how long until we can actually talk to somebody else, if that was the case. That feels like they've decided what they're doing. They might even have an idea who they want to then do Star Trek later. And they're basically wondering, okay, how long do we have to wait? Apparently, they also asked, is there any sort of thing in the deal that means they couldn't start it straight away once Strange New Worlds is done? This reminds me a little bit of like Netflix when they had their deal with Daredevil, that they basically had a deal with Marvel to say you can't actually produce any other Daredevil or related series for at least 5 years on Disney once Marvel basically cancelled it. Apparently there's nothing like that in the contract. So as soon as Secret Hideout stop working on Star Trek, as soon as Strange New Worlds Season 2 is done, Skydance is then allowed to move forwards with the new deal, with somebody new. This is a terrible video and I've presented it terribly, but I was going to bed. I was in bed, right, ready to go. I'm not going to stand up now, but I'm wearing pajama bottoms. Too much information. I don't see that there's any. Yeah, okay, it might be them just edging their bets and trying to figure out what to do if they decide not to. But the fact that they're going this far and really doing all this, to me, says, yeah, they're not going to be giving Secret Hideout a new deal. The other thing is, apparently, they've not asked for any projections or any sort of conversations with Secret Hideout about renewing the deal. Which, even though Secret Hideout can't do because they don't own Paramount yet, they could have sort of informal conversations, and I'm told they've had none. So it doesn't look good for Secret Hideout. Might look good for us fans, but it doesn't look good for Secret Hideout. Get in the comments though, guys, to tell me exactly what you think. How much weight should we put on this rumour? And what do you think it means? Get into the comments to tell me exactly what you think. As always, if you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. The videos are normally better than this. I'm really half asleep. And you can become a member of the channel if you want as well. Please give that a try, because then you get to see a lot of our videos 24 hours before anybody else. Go check that out. As always, please stay safe, sleep well. I will be in literally about 5 minutes. And good night.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.